Hello and welcome to Agile Middle East 2019. We're now honoured to have Linders here, all the way from Holland. That's our second Dutch guest in 2 years. So obviously Agile is big in the Netherlands. And a man with enormous experience, as you can see from the white hair. Tremendous experience, very highly gifted, and a great mentor to many of us in the industry. We've got a couple of questions we'd like to ask him. The first one is a contentious subject on mindset. So how would you differentiate between agile mindset and agile practices, methodologies?
Well, actually, I wouldn't. I think agile mindset and agile practice are basically intertwined. The agile mindset drives your thinking, drives your behavior, drives the stuff you're doing in the organization. Where if you look at the agile practice, actually, most of the agile practices have been there long time. It's not like Agile invented them. It's more like Agile is giving them a thinking, giving them a purpose, if you like, on why you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, an evolution.
Exactly. If I go back to my first project, which was majorly delayed when I got the project, it made sense to start developing in increments. It made sense to deliver something to the customer, to ask the customer for feedback, to give him a product to play around on his own computer and to see how things were working there. It made sense to focus on the most important stuff in there, get that out first, address the highest risk first, and get some feedback on that from the customer. That was a logical thing to do out there. That was 1989.
Yeah.
Nobody invented Agile.
No.
But the thinking behind that, the mindset like, okay, you want to get feedback, you want to work together with your customer, you want to be focused on delivering value, is a logical thing. And I think Agile brings it all together. And I think that's basically the strength I recognized when I saw the stuff popping up about Agile in 2001, and which made sense for me.
Perfect. And on that whole mindset thing, if we dig a little bit deeper, so you said it's all about the customer, letting customer play with it. What sort of what differentiates doing that as a tick box? Oh, hello customer, let's do an MVP because I've read about MVP, or let's do this, as opposed to really being there with the customer.
I think what differentiates in there is a kind of curiosity, really wanting to understand the thing that's important for your customer instead of using your own agenda, really being interested on what's important for this customer, what would make the difference, what's the problem that this customer is trying to solve. If you really want to understand that and be focused on the stuff you're delivering in there, I think that would make a difference. That would also make a difference from a fake Agile, if you're really curious to solve the problems that are there.
Yeah. And there's that great methodology called jobs to be done, the whole value proposition thing. What job is the customer trying to get done when they're employing this product?
Exactly, and their customers, what's important for them. Yeah, going one line further.
Good. And we've often seen organizations, the boss goes to a conference, has a meal with you and says, "Oh, I want to do Agile." And the people down on the ground say, "Oh, Agile sounds really cool, something different." And then we have that permafrost level in the middle, right? How do you manage the layers in an organization to make sure Agile actually does flourish?
Well, I think first of all, if you want to make it flourish, indeed it involves all layers in there. That's what I've seen in there. And the biggest challenge often is in the middle layer, because that's where most of the stuff is at stake right now. A lot of the stuff has to do with how the manager actually works with that middle layer, how the manager works with the people in there. If that manager really wants to encourage Agile in the organization, wants to give space to the people in the middle layer, wants to give them opportunities to do things in a different way and really start acting as a servant leader instead of in a command and control style, then things can change with the organization. Much of that has to do with safety, psychological safety, trust, creating an environment where people can do it. And that's also the biggest challenge. I've seen organizations where people get space, start doing stuff, and then 9 times it goes well, and the 10th time then the senior manager drops in and says, "No, we're going to do it differently." Then you're back to square one.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to allow the organization to go that way if that middle management and even senior management doesn't know how to let go. Have you got any tips on how to, someone that's been trained like this for years out of school to be successful, you need to be a manager, and now suddenly we're saying lead, not manage?
Trust. trust, have patience. That's what I have seen. I've coached senior managers in there who came back to me after attending sessions from the team, like, okay, there was a problem there. Should I have intervened? No. Trust that the team will find it. Have your trust in the team that they will be able to do it. You hired good people.
Yeah.
Give them space, give them room, and trust that they can do the job.
And is there any particular metric to be used, or again, are we agnostic on tools and numbers? Now, how do I know I can let go without getting fired? If I let go to my team and they muck it up, my job's on the line.
The primary metrics would again be your business metric. What's the value that you would like to deliver to your customers? How are you going to measure that?
So again, be focused on the customer.
Exactly, and see if your teams are really understanding those customer needs. Bringing them into contact with your customers, bringing them into contact with each other, creating an organization where people can freely communicate. If you got that stuff working,
And
most of the other stuff's going to do it.
Yeah, and that's the essence of servant leader. It's
exactly creating the environment
space
instead of
environment,
telling people what to do.
cool.
Yeah.
Last question we really have is, in the Middle East, Agile's starting to pick up. 2 years ago, there wasn't much going on. You know, we've been doing this conference for many years, and now it's starting to kick off, and it's no longer just something happening in the world of IT. What's the biggest advice you would give a new region when taking on Agile? Because I think Agile might work in this company in the Netherlands, then we take that same company and apply Agile in France, as ING happened, and big problems arise. Yeah? Each culture is different.
It is. It is.
How do we stop that cookie pasting? You know, I've been to Holland, I've seen Agile work. I bring over people, try and copy it, and it fails. How can we stop that sort of...
Again, it goes back to the Agile mindset. It goes back to the Agile principles on if you really consider those principles to be important, if you consider working together more important than looking at processes and tools in there, if you consider delivering value, working in an incremental way to get feedback in there, being open to learn more important as following a process or following a plan. It starts from the mindset, and you have to find your own way on how that will work in your organization. So if somebody comes in with a copy-paste method, like, okay, we're going to do it like this, basically they are arguing against the Agile principles. If you're telling us what to do, like, okay, I want you to self-organize, but you have to do it this way. Okay? That's not self-organization.
Exactly.
So if this happens, I think you should react back to the people bringing in, like, okay, how does this resonate with the Agile mindset and the Agile values that you're trying to teach us? If that resonates, then the stuff is going to work out. If it doesn't, you might want to change your approach in there. Become Agile in an Agile way. That's what I say.
The key. So just one extra question, not really scripted or anything like that, but I think one of the big pains I see is I do Agile this way, Scrum versus XP versus this versus, you know, Agile at scale, blah, 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 blah. It's becoming more and more a war of words, and more people defend their best practice. It's more and more away from Agile, isn't it? Or not? I mean, what's your take on this whole battle of...
Yeah, I can understand the stakes in there. I wrote a blog a couple of months ago about Agile certification and where's the value or not the value in there in certification. Again, Agile is finding your own solution there, going back to the values. So if people say, like, this is the only way to do Agile, there is no one way to do Agile.
No.
Look at the first half of the Agile manifesto. We're finding new ways, discovering new ways to do software development. That's what it says. It doesn't say that we had the answer. Finally, somebody recognizes. It says that we're on a discovery, we're on a journey, and we're going to be keeping going on a journey.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.